Hi friends, Suzanne here from sunstampin.com, a Canadian Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today's card features the Hearts Come Home stamp set as well as the Hometown Greetings Thinlit dies. So this is Whisper White Thick, and I have die cut 2 of the houses and their hillsides. And I'm just going to place that off to this side for a moment. And now I'm going to take that other Whisper White Thick that I have here, and I'm going to cut my own hills. So I'm just making a swooping kind of a landscape, a little bit higher on one end and lower on the other. So basically I'm going to create my own scene. This is kind of deconstructed. So now I'm using my new Stampin' Blend markers, and I'm just using them like regular markers. So you could easily do this with regular markers or watercolor pencils or Sharpie markers, whatever tickles your fancy. So I'm just taking them, the colors that I want, and coloring just while the die cut is still in the paper. I just found it easier to do, and it seemed to work really well for me. So there's Calypso Coral and Bermuda Bay, Cherry Cobbler, Crumb Cake, Rich Razzleberry, Daffodil Delight. And then for the trees, I did Old Olive. And then I went in with a dark gray marker, and I colored the rooftops so that they would be a different tone. And it's all pretty much the same. The neat thing about alcohol markers is that you can go over what you previously did, and it does sort of push the color away. I wasn't trying to blend here. I was just trying to create a darker rooftop for all of the houses. So you can see what I'm doing here, just coloring in, and the die cuts. I mean, this was super easy to do when the die cuts are still in the paper, if you know what I'm saying, the negative part. Anyway, so once that was all colored, I removed the die cuts from the paper just with a pair of scissors. And then I took my time and poked all those little holes for the windows and that sort of thing, and I cut that out from the video here. So now I am cutting the actual houses out of their hillsides. So this is kind of like a deconstructed Hearts Come Home card. I wanted to be able to place the homes where I wanted them to go. So, yeah, I don't listen to rules. I'm a little odd. So anyway, I'm making sure to cut the the snowman and the trees out, and just the homes I'm just putting off to a little pile. And now I have my silicone mat and some Tombow mono adhesive, and then I'm sort of dipping the rooftops in glue and then dipping them into my Dazzling Diamonds. So I kind of want this to look like snow. And I think it did a decent job. I did have to get my fingers a little ooky with glue, but that's okay. It was just 1 or 2 fingers. And the nice thing about the glue is it's water soluble, so it doesn't stick on you like crazy glue. I wouldn't be doing this if it was crazy glue. Forget it. But yeah, it took not too long to set up. And I did this for all the houses and the trees. And the hillsides here too. I'm just taking a little bit of glue, smearing it on the hillside that I had cut previous, and dipping it into the Dazzling Diamonds glitter. And then I forgot about the stamp, so I stamped that in archival black. Enjoy the warmth of the season. And now I am adhering the houses to the back of the hills. Now I made a mistake here and I put dimensionals on one of the hills already. So I would, if you're going to duplicate something like this, I would just leave them plain, because it was a little bit more difficult to put the dimensionals, or put the houses where I wanted them to go when the dimensionals were already there. I don't know what I was thinking. It might have been late. It's usually when I have time to create. So, and then, placing them where I wanted and adding, the trees and the snowman, and just having fun making my own little town. The second layer, or second hillside, didn't have any dimensionals, and it just went together a little more easier than the first one. So I was able just to put the glue on it and then slide it underneath that hillside. And there was one more mistake that I actually made, and I probably should have measured it a little bit better, was I made my hills slightly too close together. And if I was to do this card again, I would move this hill that I'm working on right now, I would have moved it up about a half an inch, because you can barely see the snowman from behind the Bermuda Bay house, but that's okay. So anyway, I did add some foam strips to the very bottom of that, because they are double the thickness of a dimensional. And that I just trimmed off the ends and folded my top folding Whisper White thick card base, and that's my card. Thanks a lot for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. On screen are 2 more videos for inspiration. Click on the maple leaf to visit my website, or click on me to subscribe to my channel. Thanks again for watching.